Hi, this is Rick from 1124 Holdings and e24land.com. Sometimes we get the question, where is Fort Garland, Colorado? Where is Costilla County? Where are the Sangre de Cristo ranches? So here today, I'm going to give an overview of the area. Wasn't a geography major in college, and it's been a number of years since I studied much of this, but forgive me if things are just not exactly right, but I want to give an overview. Um, Here's the United States. In case you haven't seen it, or if you have, I've done another similar video about properties that we have in the Missouri Ozark region. So there's Missouri Ozarks, Kansas City, Omaha, Tulsa, right? And if we zoom in a little bit up here to the north, right? You got Wyoming and Idaho and Montana is north of Colorado. Over here to the east, you got Kansas and Oklahoma, and Nebraska's over here too, right? Nebraska. And then down south, you got Texas and Arizona, New Mexico, and then over to the west, you got Utah, and Utah's up here, Salt Lake, Nevada, out to the west. So just to give you an idea of where we're talking about, this area right in here, southern Colorado, right here in the center of our screen. We're going to drill into southern Colorado, but just to give you an idea of where we are. Most of these properties are in the Fort Garland, southern Colorado area. They're reachable within 30 or 45 minutes. So I'm going to drill in on Fort Garland, but they're not in the town specifically. Over here, just kind of as some landmarks, right? You got the Grand Canyon, you got the Four Corners region, Phoenix and Las Vegas. Las Vegas is about 11 hours away, right? Phoenix is about 10. Salt Lake City is about 9 hours drive down through there. So that gives you an idea of where that is to the side. In this southwest region, right, you got a lot of the Native American reservations, right? You got the Hopi and the Apaches and Navajo nations are in here, and then Zuni, Pueblo, and Ute. So there's a number of other ones. I don't know them all. The other part that's interesting about this area is the Continental Divide, right? Continental Divide is where any of the water that rains in this area will either roll off to the Pacific Ocean in some way or roll off to the Atlantic Ocean to the right, to the east rather. So, and going east, most of that is either going to be by way of the Missouri River or the Mississippi River. To the east, and ultimately the Arkansas River runs down there too. The Missouri River, interestingly, starts off up here in Montana or Wyoming, and then it's the longest river in the United States. Off to the west, you'll have the Rio Grande and the Colorado River and the San Juan rivers that all empty into either down in this area or the Pacific Ocean. Right? Interesting. And again, not a geography lesson. Just if you get out in this area, lots of interesting things that you can go look up. Go visit some of the headwaters of some of these major rivers. Same thing on the Continental Divide. That up here in the north, you have the Columbia River that's up here in the Pacific Northwest, or over on the Canadian side, a lot of them will either empty into the Great Lakes or down into the Hudson Bay, but at least down here in the southwest region, they're going to flow off in a different area. So Amarillo down here, this is Texas and Oklahoma in here. Amarillo, you can come up this way in through Trinidad. That's about a 4.5 hour drive. Down south from Texas, if you come up, El Paso's about 7 hours or so. If you come through Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Taos into southern Colorado. So Albuquerque is about 3 hours, 3.5 hours, 3 hours and 45 minutes. Maybe Santa Fe is about 2 hours and 45 minutes. Coming up to Taos is an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes or so. Interesting area down there as you come through there. that the Rio Grande Gorge Bridge is just outside of Taos off Highway 64. That if you happen to be in the area, go by and check it out. It's pretty spectacular. And one of the things I wanted to show you as a quick funny um, is I was zooming in on the Rio Grande just because I wanted to put a pin mark there. And this comes from Google Maps. But interestingly, if you kind of zoom in on it and then rotate it 3D, that's not really the way that the road looks. It doesn't go down like that. It's a bridge that goes straight across. I just thought that that was funny that they would draw the map like that, or rather draw the road like that. That would be an interesting drive one way or the other. I digress. Back to our geography lesson. So Denver, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Right, Denver down to Fort Garland is about 3 to 3.5 hours. This is going to be down. Highway 25 comes down through Colorado Springs and into through Pueblo, and then you want to come in through La Veta Pass, right? So Colorado Springs, it's about 2 hours, and then Pueblo is about an hour and a half. And again, you kind of come through La Veta Pass and into this area right here. This area right here is Costilla County, and I'm going to point out a couple of interesting things down in this river, down in this area. Interesting things for you hunters out there. This is really where we're talking about. This is the Sangre de Cristo range. I'll light up some of the features in here, but this is Game Management Unit GMU 83 for you hunters. So it's got one of the largest elk herds around, in neighboring around 7,000 in the herd, plus there's deer and antelope and a large population of grouse. There's about 4,500 acres of green space for common use. Over here, so again, this area is kind of what we're talking about. Let me light a couple things up. So you got, this is the Rio Grande River. It comes right down through here, and it'll carry all the way down and go down through to the south. If you're a skier, if you have interest in that, Wolf Creek is just over here. Beautiful skiing in that area, or also down below, right? Taos Ski Valley is right up in here, right? So easily reachable within an hour, hour and a half of this area. Otherwise in the area up here is what's called the Great Sand Dunes National Park. Great for a day trip to go up there and have some fun in the area. Otherwise, what the area is really kind of famous for are a lot of the peaks. So the mountains and the peaks. So we, the main highlight is Mount Blanca. Right next to it is Mount Lindsay, and then there's Little Bear is right there too. So these are kind of the highlights of the area. You talk about any of the mountains that are up over 14,000 feet in elevation are called 14ers. So Mount Blanca is the 4th largest summit in the state of Colorado, or rather in the Rocky Mountains, 14,351 feet, right? So anything over 14. Plus you got Crestone, I think is right behind it. It's up here to the north. You can usually see from most properties in the area, you're going to be able to see Mount Blanca. That's the feature for the area, right? Crestone is about 7th highest in Colorado, 14,294 feet. Clubra Peak is just down here, so that'll be one that you can often see from these properties. Mount Lindsay is also 14 or 14,048, I think. These are about 10 or 12 miles from Fort Garland, right? Fort Garland is really this area right here. Little Bear, 14,037, and then a couple of other features or peaks that you can see that are good highlights. Over here to the north, a lot of times you can see Mount Mestis. It looks like a flat mountain from most of these properties, but it's a beautiful property. Over here to the east, those are the Spanish Peaks. You've got the western Spanish Peak and the eastern Spanish Peak. And then down here to the south, just actually across from, this is just over the New Mexico state line, is Ute Mountain. So if you have a property down here in this region, if you look off to the west or off to the southwest, you'll be able to see the prominent feature of Ute, because all of this down in here is flat and then it kind of grows out of nothing. So it's definitely a beautiful monument and very recognizable. Drilling in a little more, right? So I wanted to kind of talk about this area. So again, you'll come in through Levada Pass, and then you've got Highway 160 that comes in this way and then continues west, and then Highway 159 that goes south down to Taos. But this is the area that we're mostly focusing on. Again, the prominent feature is Mount Blanca off to the north. The San Luis Valley region itself is a fertile, sort of high desert plains region, generally around 7,500 feet of elevation on the valley floor, and then as you get up into the mountains, right, and to the foothills, they're 8,500, 9,000 foot of elevation, and then you get up into 10,000, 10,005, and we've had a property as high as 11,000 feet of elevation. Anything above that is generally reserved. I haven't seen it, but most will range from 8,500 to 10,000 feet in elevation. Couple of the developments that you'll see mentioned a lot of times is this area here in the middle, this flat area. These are called the San Luis Valley Ranches. Most of these are flat desert, no trees. It's fertile ground, but they're chunked up into 5-acre rectangular plots. We call this northern San Luis Valley Ranches. Over here to the west is the Rio Grande Ranches. Most of these are 2.5-acre to 5-acre plots. And then down here in the south, we'll have the area called Wild Horse Mesa, and these are 2.5-acre lots. A couple of the things. So here's Fort Garland. Here's Fort Garland. Here's San Luis. This is a historic town, oldest town in Colorado. And then over here is Alamosa. This is where you're going to find a lot more major conveniences. We'll talk about that here in a second. We'll also light up here Smith Reservoir, Sanchez Reservoir, and Mountain Home is right there. So again, kind of drilling in to give you an idea. This area down here, Wild Horse Mesa. The Sanchez Reservoir down here to the south is, they claim to be 762 acres. I don't know that I've ever seen it. The dam leaks, and because of drought, it hasn't been anywhere near that. It's a beautiful area, but it rarely reaches full pull. In the last number of years, it was a great place for fishing for northern pike. I don't know what it's been like recently, but this area here is Wild Horse Mesa. These developments. Up here a little bit to the north, you got two reservoirs. This over here is the Smith Reservoir and the town of Blanca. Small town of Blanca. It's a beautiful wildlife recreation area. It's about 278 acres, and I think that it's reported to be about 170 acres at full pull. annually stocked with trout. Great area for kayaking. It generally gets a little lower during times of drought and during the full heat of the summer. Over to this side is Mountain Home Reservoir, beautiful location. Um, on the north side here, you've got a beach and camping and things like that. It's about 130 acres and usually stays uh, deep enough to have boats on it. Again, kayaking, good trout fishing, things like that, and it's real close to Fort Garland. Sangre de Cristo Ranches. Sangre de Cristo Ranches, again, this area kind of starts off, if you see where it transitions from flat into the foothills and up, so it kind of goes, this area here, there's some flat parts of Sangre de Cristo, but most of them are the foothills and going up. Over here up near the top, you've got Forbes Park and Wagon Creek, but we really focus on Sangre de Cristo Ranches. It was developed by Forbes in 1971. It's about 7,900 lots. Most are around 5 acres, or at least maybe 5 acres at a minimum, and some of them range up to around 25 or 30 acres. So total of 56,000 acres, and there's just roads all throughout all of these properties. Some of them, right, you get higher on the trees, and you can get down in the foothills. You're going to have mostly sagebrush and pinyon pines, and then as you get to the higher elevations up above 9,000, 9,500 feet, it starts to become more of an alpine property, so you're going to get the taller pines, and then eventually you'll get the beautiful aspen trees. All right, back to our towns, right? So from Fort Garland, Alamosa is about 30 minutes, right? And that's where you're going to have Walmart and movie theater and your home improvement stores and all kinds of restaurants. I think there's a golf course and all of that movie theater. Fort Garland has a pizza shop and a steakhouse and a couple of convenience stores and things like that. It's a smaller town. There's a high school there, but all of the modern conveniences are 30 minutes or so away in Alamosa. So there's your couple of pieces. The Fort Garland zip code 81133. San Luis, so if you get down into this area, 81152 is the zip code that we see. What else? So if you had a property in this area, we kind of look, and you would look off to the north. Let's just say that there was a property in here. You would look off in the north, and here's your prominent features of Mount Blanca. Right, so let's do that. Let's zoom in a little bit. Let's say that it was there. Right, so you can look off to the side, and this is going to be the San Luis Valley. There you're going to have Mount Blanca, Mount Lindsay, right? And then a lot of times, if you're looking off, here's Mount Mestis, right? You got to go up through Levada Pass to get there. You can see that sometimes. And over here to the side, you'll get to see the maybe, depending on how high you are, right? If you're down here in a lower elevation, you're not going to get to see some of those things. You'll be able to look off to the north and generally have a good view of Mount Blanca. But from down in the valley, you can't see some of the stuff that is off to the east because the Sangre de Cristo is in the way. But there's Spanish Peaks. Down to the south, you'll have Culebra Peak. And then again, just sort of looking south, and then down there you'll have the Ute Mountain, right? So generally you're going to have beautiful, beautiful sunsets out here to the west overlooking the valley. So you say you had a property off in this area, you're going to have a beautiful sunset because there's all this open space in this plains. Beautiful area. We love it. Plenty of opportunity, right? And plenty of range in property types. So some of them high elevation are clearly going to have a little bit more character or slope. They all have well-maintained roads that get to them, generally maintained by the county, and you can get to them most of the properties at least 10 months out of the year. The lower elevation properties you can get to year-round, but some of the ones that are way up here, right, if you were in a 10,000 foot or 11,000 foot property up here in the top, you may not be able to reach that for a certain number of months out of the year. So that's about all that I had. Thank you again for watching. More details, I'll put some more details in the description below. Generally in the area, the taxes are low. There's no HOA fee or anything like that. There's no time limit to build, so some people have these as recreational properties or future investments. Thank you again for watching. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos. Check out our website at 1124holdings.com, ELEVEN, the number 24, holdings.com, and subscribe to our VIP email distribution list for early notifications of properties before they get marketed to the public. So thanks again for watching.